This is the continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Warner Anderson as Matthew Swain, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, and Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie.
Leslie Harrington has been to visit her father at the sanatorium. And now Dr. Rossi lets her out at the mill. She has decided the time has come to face Leslie Harrington.
Mr. Harrington, wouldn't you like to hear my report? It's about your daughter-in-law's activities in New York.
I doubt if it's necessary, Mr. Blaine. I've already talked to you on the phone.
Well, that was all preliminary stuff. Where she was, where she went. Now, this report covers what she did.
I see. Perhaps we should go over it more thoroughly, but it's very inopportune. I just saw Betty enter the mill.
She probably figured it was time to make her pitch. But you don't have to worry about it. Not as long as we have this.
Yeah?
Mrs. Betty Harrington is here.
Ask her to come in, please. Blaine, wait in the outer office until she's gone.
All right. Excuse me.
Good to see you back, Betty. Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
I think you were wise to come home, Betty.
Do you?
Running away never solves anything.
Gives you a chance to think.
And you have thought about things?
That's why I'm here.
Have you seen Rodney?
Just briefly this morning. We didn't talk long, though.
But he's your husband. He might resent your talking to me instead of him.
Why? You made his decisions just as my father made many of mine.
You're wrong, Betty. I never made decisions for my son.
And you can make them now. I know what I want, Mr. Harrington, and I also know you're the one I have to bargain with.
Come now, Betty. Isn't that a bit harsh? You and I don't need a bargain.
Don't we?
New York has changed you.
No, not New York. Just being away from Peyton Place.
We tried to find you, you know, Betty. Naturally, we were worried.
Naturally, Mr. Harrington?
I don't understand you, Betty. You're back. We can work things out, yet you seem determined to argue with me.
If you think that, you're wrong. I don't intend to argue, and after today, we shouldn't have anything at all to say to each other.
All right. A minute ago, you said you know what you want. Perhaps we can discuss the situation and arrive at a solution that will satisfy all of us.
I'm sure we can.
I'm willing to make certain concessions, Betty, but I will not be dictated to. If your demands are unreasonable, I'll be forced to use whatever means I can.
What makes you think I'll be unreasonable? Let's start with what you want in Rod.
Which is?
Rod's freedom. He can have it. I agreed to an annulment of our marriage. I'm sure your lawyers can work out the details.
With your cooperation, yes.
You have my cooperation. Well, that much is settled then. You'll start the annulment proceedings?
You said you came here to bargain with me.
And I came to the right man. Now, you and Rodney can have your annulment, and in return, I want my father to get well.
But of course he'll get well. We all want that. Go on, Betty.
I want your promise that he'll get the best possible care. The finest doctors, treatment, whatever he needs and for as long as he needs it.
At my expense.
That's the price of the annulment.
All right, Betty, your father will have everything he wants. You have my word.
And you have mine. Goodbye, Mr. Harrington.
Well, that was brief.
Just get on with your report, Mr. Blaine. You said you have some information I'm not aware of.
That's right. I told you before that Betty had stayed with a girl named Sharon Purcell, but I didn't know at that time that Sharon Purcell's rent was being paid by a man in Pittsburgh, a married man, and that isn't all.
Go on.
Your daughter-in-law entertained a friend of that married man in the Purcell apartment. And here's the clincher, Mr. Harrington. When the man left Betty, he gave her money.
How can you possibly know that?
It's all right here in the report. Names, date, time, witness. The elevator boy in that apartment house saw the man give Betty money when he left.
You have his statement?
Signed and notarized. My office is very efficient. Now, I'm available to testify. We can always subpoena the elevator boy.
May not be necessary, Mr. Blaine.
I don't quite understand. Are you inferring you'd prefer to pay her off?
With the report, please.
I think it's a mistake, Mr. Harrington, a big mistake. You show her that report, she'll run. She'll run scared. You can bet on it.
I don't intend to bet where my son's concerned. I'll send you a check, Mr. Blaine.
All right. You're in the driver's seat.
Yes, I am.
Good night, Mr. Harrington.
What would you like for dinner tonight? I can shop on the way home.
Well, if it's all right with you, Abby and I thought we'd go to the faculty art show tonight. We'll have dinner first at the Student Union.
Well, that sounds like fun.
You sure you don't mind?
Of course I don't.
Abby said she saw Betty Anderson coming out of the drugstore. Did you know she was back?
I heard she was.
I wonder what it's like living in New York and then coming back here.
Well, I know how Julie must feel, having Betty home. She worried the whole time she was gone.
What was it like for you?
What?
Well, you lived in New York and then you came back here.
Well, I wasn't in New York very long.
You were there long enough to get married and have a baby.
Your eggs are getting cold.
Betty must hate it. Coming back here, I mean.
Suppose she and Rod patched up the differences.
Hmm?
Would it be all right with you?
I love you when you're trying to be subtle. No, no, Mother, I know the rules.
But if you weren't married?
Then there'd be different rules.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get it. Oh, good morning, Mr. Foley.
Mail for you, Allison. Too big to put in the box.
Oh, thank you.
Temperature's up to 22 already. Days are beginning to warm up a bit. See you, Allison.
Goodbye, Mr. Foley. Isn't that funny? This one was mailed right here in Peyton Place.
What, dear?
There's no return address. I don't even recognize the handwriting.
Why don't you try opening it?
Yeah. What in the world? Hey, it's me. Mother, look.
Is it really? Was there a note with it?
No, nothing. Nothing. It isn't even signed. Wow, I like it. Do you?
And you've no idea who sent it?
No, not in the slightest. I must have an unknown admirer somewhere. Isn't it exciting?
Oh, hello, Christine. I came by for my things.
I packed them as neatly as I could weeks ago.
Thank you.
Mr. Harrington had me stored them in the attic.
Oh?
If you make yourself comfortable, I'll go and fetch them, Mrs. Harrington.
Well, thank you. And, Christine, you don't have to call me Mrs. Harrington anymore.
Whatever you say.
Hello, Rod.
Hi. I wondered whose cab that was out in front.
I decided to come over early and pick up my things.
Can I give you a hand or something?
No, I don't think so. I'll have the cab driver do it.
I understand you went to see my father last night. At the mill.
Yes, I did.
He told me about the discussion, Betty.
I expected he would have.
I didn't like hearing it from him.
If I discussed it first with you, would you have liked it any better?
This concerns you and me, not my father.
Well, unfortunately, your father doesn't feel that way. He's made himself very concerned about our problems.
I just don't like being left out, that's all.
You're not being left out, Rod. You're being let out of a situation you never wanted. Now, does it really matter who I talk to first?
No, I suppose not. You know what I never did ask you? How was New York?
Very educational.
Well, that's a strange way to describe it.
It's a strange place.
You got along okay?
I tried to.
It must be fun, huh, New York?
Well, I didn't go there to have fun.
Well, of course not, but I mean, it's exciting.
Was at first.
You make any friends?
One.
Oh? Anyone important?
Isn't everyone important?
All right, then. Anyone special? I meant to say that anyway.
I thought she was very nice. I better get the cab driver.
I'll take your bags out for you, Betty.
No, it isn't necessary.
Why won't you let me do anything for you?
Well, there's no reason why you should.
Do I have to have a reason?
Only for you. Was that supposed to be a farewell kiss?
Oh, Betty.
Just something you felt like doing then. And anything little Rodney feels like doing is perfectly all right.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You say, I'm sorry out of habit. You do what you want, you say what you want, then you say, I'm sorry. Well, I don't want to hear it anymore. And I don't want to be around you anymore to give you any cause to say, I'm sorry. Oh, Christine, don't bother. I'll send the cab driver in.